very much. The band of South African Police Services. Without wasting much of your time, colleagues and ladies and gentlemen, allow me to call upon to the stage Advocate M.T. Rapata to come. Advocate M.T. Rapata to come and render the second item. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Program Director, Mr. Reginald Machita. First of all, let me take this wonderful moment to greet everyone present in the room, and in particular, acknowledge the leadership of the University of Limpopo under Professor Mokalo, Professor Madache, Professor Singh, Professor Masha, and Professor Jerry. I also would like to take this moment to actually shower our sincere greetings and acknowledgement to the Provincial Commissioner, Lieutenant General T. Hadebe, and of course the leadership collective of SAPS from the various stations, senior managers, colleagues in the School of Law, colleagues in the Faculty of Management and Law, our dear students, members of the community, you are all warmly greeted and heartily welcome. We wish to take this moment to emphatically state that we have had to respond for this call for duty, on the appreciation that working together we can do more. And as it has been said in other fora, as the University of Limpopo, we pride ourselves, of course, that the quest of finding solutions for Africa. And as you may be able to see through the program, we are gathered here today to deal with one of the gigantic challenges of our lifetime. And it is only when we join our hands that we are able to come up with lasting solutions to problems such as the scourge of GBV. In this hall, we do not have topics. And we hope that all the perspectives that are going to be drawn from different stakeholders will enrich our efforts of trying to find a solution to this problem. And that's why, if you look at the program, we draw insight from different levels of perspectives. You have a student's view, and then you also have the gender desk of the University of Limpopo. And then you would have a perspective from the Provincial Commissioner herself, and that would be emblematic of the overall impression of the picture in as far as the problem is concerned. And you would also have some pure academic insights to the issue at hand. And the idea being, let us draw from all these perspectives. Let's see what happens if we narrow them down to one objective. Let's see if we cannot come up with something that will help society defeat the scourge of gender-based violence. Because whether we like it or not, we are all victims. Ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed, you are heartily welcome to the University of Limpopo. This is where we excel in teaching and learning, community engagement and research, and we hope that the discussions of today would enrich us to do even more. Thank you very much, Mr. Program Director. Thank you very much, Advocate Rapata. Without wasting much of your time, colleagues, allow me to call to the podium Warrant Officer Malepo to come and render item 3, which is acknowledgement of guests. A round of applause, colleagues.
Good afternoon to everybody. Greetings to the General, the Provincial Commissioner. Greetings to the Director of the school and all protocol observed. The guest list that I have is as follows. We are having Lieutenant General Hadebe, the Provincial Commissioner. Let's put the hands together. We are having Major General, or let me say we are having Brigadier Shirinda from Sishiro SAPS. Let's put hands together. We are having Brigadier Mkhongo. Let's put hands together. Major General Mashilo, responsible for all Capricorn district stations. Let's put hands together for him. Brigadier Van Staden, let's put hands together for him. Brigadier Sarare, let's put hands together for her. Brigadier Matavata, let's put hands together. And we are also having the university representative led by Advocate Marshall Rapaza. Let's put your hands for him. Professor Rapulana, let's put your hands together for him. Professor Nyani, let's put your hands together for him. Advocate Matebula, a round of applause. Advocate Magambi, a round of applause. Mr. Mkuru, let's put your hands together for him. Mr. Masheta, let's put hands together for him. Shirofa Jolerai, let's put hands together for him. Advocate Tlale Rakugu, let's put hands together for him. Dr. Rapakwani, let's put hands together. That is all for now. The list was not drawn by me, so if I, by mistake, exclude
Commissioner, Lieutenant General Hadebe, to the senior officers who are present here today from the Provincial Office, District Office, as well as our stations in the district. Let me also extend my word of greetings to the leadership and management of the University of Limpopo, today led by Advocate Rapaza, the chairperson of the Provincial CPF, board chairperson, Mklonichwa Ndate Hasaho, all the station commanders and SAPS officials present here today, and our honorable audience present in this hall today. Let me sum it up by saying protocol observed. A program director, let me indicate that I am very much humbled to be afforded this opportunity to introduce the main, if not the major, purpose of today's gathering or today's event. But before doing that, just allow me to give the name of this event a bit of a facelift, because I have seen in terms of our programs, it is termed or called the seminar. But after having heard what Advocate Rapaza has indicated in his welcoming address, while he was indicating that this institution is taking pride of itself in the fact that they are finding solutions to African challenges, or challenges in Africa. That is why I deem it proper and fit and necessary to give this event a bit of a facelift to move it from a seminar perhaps to a summit, so that we can be able to deal with issues holistically. The rationale behind this event today is basically to engage with you with a view to finding answers to all the questions that are mostly being posed by the community to us as the police, hoping that we will have all the solutions to their problems. But the police are basically aware and have been saying this on various occasions to help us in finding solutions to the following questions. And I am going to be very short in terms of dealing with this, because we must be able to deal with issues. First question that we need to be able to respond to without any hesitation, without any doubt, should be, what is gender-based violence? And we also need to ask ourselves the question, what are the predisposing and precipitating factors of gender-based violence? We need also to ask ourselves the questions, what are the causes and what should actually be the effects of gender-based violence? We need to understand whether this gender-based violence is being caused by the people who are consuming liquor, is being caused by family violence, is being perpetrated by the strangers, or is it happening because of cultural or socio-economic issues that we are faced with on our daily basis? But of critical importance is to also ask ourselves the question, what impact is gender-based violence and femicide having on us as individuals, on the victims, on the perpetrators, and the impact that it is having on the society as a whole. And we need also to say, since we are having all these questions, what responses should we be able to consider, or should be considered, or be given by different stakeholders in dealing with the gender-based violence? That, in essence, says to us that when we live here today, we must be able to walk out of this hall with our shoulders high, with the understanding that we have gained a lot of knowledge, we have gained a lot of insight into what gender-based violence is, and we must be confident that we will be able to respond to all questions that will be posed to us. But it would also not be making sense if we can also concentrate on what. I believe it would also be prudent that we must be able to talk to the locations or the places where this gender-based violence are taking place. We must be able to know whether this gender-based violence is taking place in the urban setups or in the rural setups, and if in the rural setups, if we want to bring ourselves closer to Mangweng, where exactly in Mangweng? And I believe that the people who are in this world today will be able to dissect that and to diagnose that, so that they can be able to assist us in finding solutions. We need also to know whether these gender-based violence cases are happening indoors or outdoors. We need also to check whether they are happening in the private or public spaces, so that we can be able to adequately address that. But I am saying once again that it would not actually suffice to stop there. We must be able to dig deeper and be able to respond to the question of who are basically the victims of gender-based violence. We need to know that, because if we can't know that, then we will also, we will be laboring under the impression that gender-based violence is just meant for certain race groups or is meant for people of a certain age or so. So we need to know whether it is the pandemic that is actually taking place affecting only the females, or is it affecting both females or males? Is it affecting children or adults? Is it affecting Africans only, or do we also see that in the white community? Is it affecting the affluent only, or it is also affecting the non-affluent? So that we can be able to deal with these issues. But of critical importance, we also need to check if this gender-based violence is affecting the educated or not. Because some people might be thinking that this pandemic is only happening or is only occurring in areas, in certain areas, or it is only affecting certain classes of the society. But we need also to understand who are the perpetrators of this gender-based violence. Are the people who are knowing one another, or are they strangers to one another? Is gender-based violence committed by drunkards, or is committed by people who are sober-minded? We need also to appreciate whether the gender-based violence is committed by people who are just novices, the beginners in the space, or it is being committed by was listening through Tovela FM, and they were talking about this typical problem where they were actually addressing the question of why should couples or people who are in a mutual relationship tend to fight over issues like, is this child my real child? Why should they fight if one of the partner would want to conduct some kind of a DNA to satisfy him or herself as to the biological aspect of the offspring or the children who are there? And this has been discussed, and women gave their sides, men gave their sides, and it was actually reflected as a source of gender-based violence, and it was reflected also as a problem that is causing a lot of family violence or family disintegration. So, like I am saying, program director, we are not going to do any justice if we can live here without having responded to these issues. And we need also to understand which methods, which skills, which techniques are these perpetrators using. But we cannot confine ourselves or restrict ourselves to the level of perpetrators. We need also to think of the method that the victims can use to avoid or to prevent this gender-based violence from happening to them. But we also need to think about the methodologies that the government and non-governmental institutions can make use in order to deal with these things, so that we can be able to adequately address this problem. Program director, allow me to implore the audience here today and the presenters who will be giving us different presentations to say, please, in engaging on this particular aspect. We know it is a pandemic, we know that it is affecting the country, we know the state president has spoken about this, has prioritized this, and it would actually be prudent and wise for us to come up with solutions that will be addressing this in responding to the how part of it. And I would like to say thank you very much for the opportunity so afforded. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Major General, for rendering that item. Colleagues, at this juncture, we are then moving to our presentations. You would see that we have 4 presenters. I'm going to call the first one, who is Ms. Tilerai, then from there is going to be Advocate Raku. Then once they are done, then we are going to open the floor for questions and answers. Then subsequent to that, we'll take the second leg of the presentation, which would be Dr. N. Rapakwana, then Lieutenant General Hadere, then from there we'll equally open the floor for questions and comments. That is the order that we are going to follow, colleagues. Without wasting much of your time, allow me to call upon to the stage Ms. T. Lerai at the University of Limpopo final level student.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Dumelang, Toela, good morning, all protocol observed. I must start first by saying that it is really an honor to be here this morning. It is a good opportunity and I'm really honored. And without wasting much of your time, I would like to inhumane or degrading way. It is crucial to understand that GBV often stems from unequal power dynamics between genders, and of course societal norms also do contribute to these power imbalances, leading to abusive behavior. While it's true that anyone, regardless of their gender, can be a victim of GBV, statistics typically show that females and girls are disproportionately affected, and of course this reflects broader gender inequalities and norms that perpetuate violence against us. Throughout this history, which is marked by racial and gender inequalities, have a lasting impact on the prevalence of GBV. And despite constitutional commitments to equality, patriarchal attitudes still persist, and socioeconomic factors such as poverty, unemployment, and inequality do magnify the problem we have at hand. And in the context of universities, it is crucial to understand that harmful cultural attitudes, bullying and harassment can perpetuate GBV. And educational institutions do have a responsibility to address this issue through campaigns and programs that promote gender equality and non-violence. And research has shown a link between exposure to violence during childhood and the perpetration of GBV as an adult. Therefore, it is crucial for early intervention and support to be given to children who have witnessed or have experienced violence during childhood. Comparing statistics, GBV specifically statistics during the COVID-19 pandemic and currently, we can say that the 2023-2024 gender-based violence statistics do paint a comforting picture in that between April and June this year, 6,228 cases of murder were recorded, and this is 196 less people being killed in this year compared to the same time last year. And out of the 6,000 people being killed, 1,188 were female and male. And apart from the drop in murder counts, there are also notable decreases in other forms or categories of crimes, being that we have had a decrease in sexual offenses by 1.9%, and contact-related crimes by 1.6%. And of course, this is no cause for celebration as the struggle to combat GBV is still ongoing. And the United Nations and various international organizations have emphasized the importance of addressing GBV. And they recognize this as a major obstacle to the fulfillment of women and girls' rights, as well as the achievement of the United Nations Sustainable Development. And when we look at the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, more particularly Goal 5, we would realize that it emphasizes gender equality and the elimination of violence against women. And GBV can have a significant negative impact on students' academic performance, leading to higher dropout rates due to the trauma and emotional distress it causes. The trauma, emotional distress, and the daily life disruptions it causes make every day a struggle for those that are affected. Even for those that are not affected, I can confidently stand here and say that as a female law student, I can't even come to campus to study late at night. And of course, let alone going to places like Ijong or shipping lifestyle without fear of you falling victim and being shamed for going there in the first place. And of course, the consequences of GBV can vary widely, causing emotional trauma, self-harm, depression, or even suicide or homicide. And of course, this highlights the urgency of our collective efforts to address GBV in educational settings. Enough is enough, the loss of young life is one too many. As a female student, I believe that universities should play a pivotal role in addressing and preventing GBV, of course fostering conversations and promoting healthy attitudes and behavior, as well as providing support services for survivors, and this is by providing them with accommodation or safety shelters for those that are fearing for their lives, as well as counseling. And of course, ensuring safety in residences and safeguarding students who live in private residences by making sure that they're safe while they travel to and from campus, more particularly at night. And another thing that can be done is making sure that they have an office or committee put in place to ensure that it deals with campaigns to curb the GBV on campus. But of course, our fight just doesn't stop at universities. It needs to begin early in schools. And in Sudan, there's a saying that goes through all needs. Promoting a positive masculinity and of course providing mentorship is another essential aspect of tackling GBV. And the absence of healthy male role models can sometimes lead young boys or leave them to vulnerable negative influences. And of course, breaking the cycle requires the efforts within communities and institutions, more particularly our very own University of Uganda. And to address GBV effectively, we need a multifaceted response. Legislation and law enforcement are important, but we need to know that them alone cannot resolve this problem. Challenging patriarchal norms, promoting raising public awareness, and providing support services for survivors and promoting gender equality are all integral to the solution we need as a country. To combat GBV effectively, we must provide education to children, men, and females. Education can serve, of course, as a catalyst for normative change as well as addressing gender inequalities. And it should focus on promoting beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors that contribute to a more equitable society. And integrating GBV education on school curriculum and government policies are all crucial to addressing this persistent issue. In addition to addressing GBV, schools should teach children about their rights and the importance of respecting women and girls. And of course, this will foster a more equitable a society that is free from violence, a society that is based on human equality, human dignity, equality and freedom. And of course, GBV is a pressing issue in South Africa. Of course, that requires a multi-pronged approach, including legal measures, awareness campaigns, which is the reason why we're here today, as well as educational initiatives. It is our collective responsibility to stand up against GBV, address its root causes, and work towards creating a safer and more equal society for all. In me parting, I'd like to share my dream with you. It is my dream that one day young girls and young boys of South Africa, as well as those of the global community, will live in a GBV-free world. And it is also my dream that they will be relieved from the fear and burden of being the young victim. And I would like to see parents nurturing the emotional and psychological needs of their children, teaching them how to have empathy for other people, assuring them that they matter, and instilling in them a principle that when you have a human being, of course you also have in yourself. And I do know that we do share the same vision, but of course it can only materialize if we work together, each one of us doing their own part. We need to know that female students' rights are human rights and they need to be protected and promoted. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lahai, for that wonderful talk, that wonderful presentation. Without wasting much of your time, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to call upon to the stage Advocate Motlankula Rakumu to come and deal with the second presentation. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, all protocol observed. gender-based violence, and the right to life. In my introduction, I'm going to upset you and say GBV and femicide is brewed in our family units. This bold assertion is confirmed by a sample that was taken next door. Our social workers, our SAPS officials working for the family violence, child protection, and sexual offences in Mangwe Police Station in 2022 affirmed my assertion and say that women and men who deal with Mangwe GBV, sexual offences and femicide daily, revealed that domestic violence is perpetrated by mostly men. The brewing of this poison starts when the husband-to-be pays mahari to the parents of the wife-to-be. So the ramifications as held by mahari purported culture is that women and children become a husband or a father's property, subjected to control and discipline. The fermentation gets further when the pandits of culture throw idioms attached to this mahari contract to mean marriage is a perpetual consent, and the woman can never say no after getting married. You know what I mean. The poison becomes now the marriage sokam beer when during the wedding celebration, the woman is told that monna get tag, one and libitalam sadi, give rad. So, in a nutshell, the family itself does not protect women and children, justified by culture and a lot of reasons that you may come with. Other causes linked to GBV, of course, are alcohol abuse, financial dependency, toxic relationship between intimate partners, toxic relationship between husband and wife, toxic relationship between father and children, toxic relationship between the siblings themselves, and toxic relationship between the guardians. So the question here is that, can the law, which is written and practiced by the very same members of this family unit, protect children and women and a minority of males against the endemic of GBV? What does the law say about GBV? Remarkably, the law does deal with domestic violence and provides protection to the victims of domestic violence. It also impels the enforcement bodies like SAPS to stop domestic violations. And I've never felt so safe like I feel today with the beautiful members of SAPS. One of them is my product. The prevention of family violence, we are now dealing with the law. The Prevention of Family Violence Act 133 of 1993 gives interdicts concerning family violence, also provides for a duty to report cases of suspected ill treatment of children and suspicious injuries by most professionals on a daily basis. It notably criminalizes marital rape. And I know I have students who always affirm to me as boys that there is no such a thing. Law students noch are. Who says? He's one of them. There is no marital rape. This law, since 1993, actually criminalizes marital rape and gives protection to victims of domestic violence. It further empowers the court to make a domestic order to provide protection against further abuse. It authorizes the police to respond to domestic violence, including power to issue notice. It introduces consequences for disobeying a domestic violence order or police protection notice. Moving to 1998, we have the Domestic Violence Act, which defines domestic violence as a serious crime against our society and extends the definition of domestic violence to include not only married women and their children, but also unmarried women who are involved in relationships or living with their partners, persons in same-sex relationships, mothers and their sons, and other persons who share a living space. It describes further abuse as physical, sexual, emotional, psychological, economic harassment, damage to property, stalking, and entry into a person's home without their consent. It endeavors to provide victims of domestic violence with an accessible legal instrument with which to prevent further abuses from taking place within their domestic relationships. 2000, the Firearms Control Act orders the court to direct the South African Police Service to take over weapons or arms in possession or under the control of the respondent in terms of a DVA pending matter. The Children's Act 2005 outlines rights of children and duties of parents and guardians in any domestic relations affecting children. The criminal law, my favorite legislation, you remember, right? The criminal law, Sexual Offences and Related Matters Amendment Act of 2007. This came after our former just president somewhere in the Northwest actually decided that a man cannot rape his wife. The case of S versus Nano. He knows it, he'll tell you about it during break. It expands statutory offense of rape applicable of all forms of sexual penetration without consent, irrespective of gender, and enacting corresponding new statutory offenses, enacting comprehensive provisions dealing with the creation of certain new, expanded, or amended sexual offenses against children and persons who are mentally disabled, including offenses relation to sexual exploitation, grooming, exposure, or display of pornography, and the creation of child pornography. The Protection from Harassment of 2011 protects individuals' fundamental rights that Tiro has talked about, including but not limited to the right to equality, privacy, dignity, freedom, and security of the person, which incorporates the right to be free from all forms of violence from either public or private sources, and the rights of children to have their best interests considered to be of paramount importance. Very recently, we have the Domestic Violence Amendment Act of 2021, which provides that any complainant these days may ex parte apply to a court for a protection order, and the nice thing is that person can use your electronic media. That's a nice amendment and introduction. And it further broadens the existing definition of domestic violence to include spiritual abuse, elderly abuse, coercive and controlling behavior. The right to life of a perpetrator vis-a-vis the right to life of a victim in GBV matters. We have a lovely document called the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, 1996, which has been amended numerous times. Everyone is equal before the law and has the right to equal protection and benefit of the law. We all know that the perpetrator, either assuming the care of an arrested, a detained, or an accused, has rights in Section 35 that are so elaborate that are more than any other right that you find, particularly in Chapter 2, that is the Bill of Rights. Whereas we also have Section 234, which is only 2 lines of a sentence, which may be used as a source or reference for Parliament to enact what we call a victim's charter. Fortunately, this charter was enacted during 2004, and it gives us the minimum standards that were approved by Cabinet. It is a product of a group of stakeholders, for example, your government departments, your justice departments, your Human Rights Commission, and Commission on Gender Equality, and other GBV active NGOs. Remember, this is Section 234 with just 2 lines of a sentence, in contradistinction to your Section 35 that has a Bible of rights attached to the very same person who you call the perpetrator. Now, the very pieces of legislation that seeks to enforce protection and eradication of GBV need to balance the right to life amongst other rights. Let's see the irony that is brought about by the above pieces of legislation. I've already named a few. The police and other stakeholders are mandated to issue protection orders against perpetrators of GBV. What happens when the police official take it lightly and say parties must resolve that reported incident because it's a private matter? It does happen for a variety of reasons. Then immediately, the right to life of a victim is threatened there and then. Because you are saying, go back. Boyfriend was there. I was once attacked whilst I was running Potchefstroom Road. Some of you know the scars, whilst I was jogging in the morning. And 8 cars in that beautiful long road in Soweto passed. And the 9th car stopped. And there was an argument. This was during cross-examination in court, after they were caught, the people that attacked me, attempted rape. There was an argument within the passengers in this motor vehicle. And they were actually saying, no, why should we stop? Probably it's a boyfriend attacking a girlfriend first thing in the morning on a Sunday. And these people were officials coming back from night duty, Hillbrook Police Station. So I know what I'm talking about. All right? Referral of certain reported incidents by police to social workers because they are either deemed as minor or there is too much workload in a particular station, also encourages the victim to go back to their partners, which may escalate the disagreements when they get home and even result in assault, GBH, and God forbid, murder. Surprisingly, the protection order given to the victims creates more violence if the same victim has to go back home to the very perpetrator, and worse, perpetrators would even stop maintaining the children to punish the victim to go and withdraw the charge. So the victim's right to life and the children are immediately threatened. Presiding officers in my line of work, also, when sentencing a breadwinner who is a perpetrator of GBV, become very creative because you're saying this is a mitigating factor when you defend this perpetrator and say he's a breadwinner. So the magistrate or the judge sitting there, of course, will become very creative when he implements sentencing and come up with weekend detentions, treatment programs, and community services. So you're actually sending this perpetrator back to the very poor victim, right? Each case also with the Criminal Procedure Act and other policies take time to protect the rights of the perpetrator. By the time the matter moves from bail hearing, investigation, trial, and finally to sentencing, the victim's rights are compromised. If she is, of course, still alive come the date of sentencing. Because we have a beautiful Section 35, right? All right, let me stop complaining. Way forward. There is a need to train victims, to train victims about the Victims' Charter, which talks to care centers for the victims, which talks to interim maintenance, which talks to HIV programs and victim support stipend. Perpetrators also need to be educated about the seriousness of actions that can be taken against them and assist victims to be aware of different steps that they can take after any kind of abuse. We need more men's forums. We need men's forums that focus on empowering and supporting men on challenges that they are facing and include them in the fight against domestic violence. We need to empower our handsome and beautiful officials who deal with domestic violence cases to equip and empower them with more knowledge and skills to tackle these cases. Look at the law where these days it is not easy for officials to just arrest without concrete evidence, especially when dealing with arrogant perpetrators who are unwilling to cooperate. I beg your pardon, I'll repeat that, it was off. Empower our officials who deal with domestic violence cases to equip and empower them with more knowledge and skills and support in terms of the tools that they need in their line of work. We're not coming, Sesi, to tackle these cases. Look at the law where these days it is not easy for officials to just arrest without concrete evidence, because perpetrators have so many rights, right? Especially when dealing with arrogant perpetrators who are unwilling to cooperate with police officials. Use the new Domestic Violence Amendment Act to deal creatively with issues of bail of the perpetrator, alternative accommodation pending the finalization of the case, and serious sentencing, because the new amendment tries to expand and let whoever that deals with the law to be a little bit more creative. Have more trained law students and volunteers who are trained as court preparation officers to assist victims of GBV all through the proceedings to the finalization of the matter in court. Amendment of the law with regard to the so many rights given to persons who are against the law. Some have talked about the right to life, which seems to be the right to life of the offender and the right to life of the victim. Dead or alive seems to be forgotten in the process. Talk of the controversial death penalty, since the parole system and minimum sentencing do not talk to death penalty, since the parole system and minimum sentencing do not seem to be working or mitigating the skyrocketing crime rate, and others, not me, others have even become more colorful and speak of chemical castration. Tobe.
Thank you very much, Advocate Raku, for that wonderful presentation. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, perhaps at this juncture, what we can do, we can take questions and comments if we have, then allow Dr. Rapakwana as well as the General to then give you the second leg of our presentation. Can I note hands, colleagues, for questions and comments? Yes, Advocate Mangena, you are noted. Professor Mbadjogo, you are noted. Yes, sir, you are noted. Yourself, sir, you are also noted. The gentleman at the back there, you are noted. Colleagues, perhaps let me also say this. Let us just go straight to the question. Let our question, be straightforward. I understand that some of the question one would need to give a background or context, but let's just go straight to the questions. With that said, also allow me to recognize in our midst the Executive Dean, Professor Sibanda. He just joined us. He's here with us. Advocate Mangena, can you shoot with you then in that sequence?
Yeah, thank you very much. I will start with a comment, and I want to implore this House.
Can you use the mic, please?
For this issue. Thank you very much. I would like to start with a comment and implore and charge this House and sincerely thank thought leaders who came up with this novel idea of hosting this, because I admit that gender-based violence is a scourge But I'll start by challenging the assertion made by my colleague, Advocate Lagu, when she asserted that gender-based violence is perpetrated by men. I totally disagree with her. Simply because there is a lot of underreporting of gender-based violence perpetrated by women. And the reason for this underreporting is precisely because males are mocked and ridiculed at when they go to report. Males are mocked and ridiculed at each time they go to report. And you will find that in most cases, our police officers are very hostile towards men, especially when men come to report this gender-based violence. They are mocked at. Hey, Sergeant, come and listen to this one. The poor man will be at that police station for a period of 5 to 6 hours. Each time another policeman arrives, hey, come and listen to this one. I know it does happen. So I sincerely challenge that. And as we continue with this forum, I would like to indicate and state it very categorically that I am also of the opinion that victims of gender-based violence are not 100% innocent. We know there is usually a story behind why the perpetrator was forced to commit such an act. So I want us to dissect this. Now, secondly, let me direct my 2 questions on the first presenter, Lerard. I want you to tell me if there is a link between bullying and gender-based violence. And secondly, I want her to tell us here if we also have female bullies. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Advocate Magana. Colleagues, can we then move to our Professor Mbadiogo? Madam Chair.
Okay, good day. First of all, it's a comment and a question. Both the 2 presenters, they said promoting positive masculinity is important, and Advocate Tlale said awareness is important. And I would say I agree with what they just said, because most of the time we are aware in our communities, in our families, of the perpetrators of GBV. But for some reason, with anti-know-my-business attitude, we could just turn the blind eye. Now my question is, taking into account that these acts of violence typically happen within our communities and families, what is the role of NGOs and civil society leadership, including Mushates, traditional leaders, in curbing GBV? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Captain. Can we move to the gentleman? Yes, yes.
Thank you very much, Program Director. So my question will be based on Ms. Hirai. Wow, you're a beautiful name. So the question I'm going to ask is about, you have been talking about the solution that the university can do. How are we going to look this in the side of media? For example, if I grew up watching Generation, I've been watching like Gaddafi Police. that thing can grow into my mind thinking, okay, whenever I'm having a problem with my partner, it seems like this thing is a good solution to do. Like, how are we involving these people and trying to make sure that even the media is not playing a role into our gender-based violence? Because some of these problems, they start at a very young age, and we try to solve them when I'm 22 and so on, and it's not that easy to solve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Other gentlemen, yes?
Thank you very much. My first question, which is also kind of a comment, goes to Advocate Rabu. Don't you think placing this or making part of the blame will be the biggest contributor to solutions towards this problem? Because like we've seen now, you presented a case where you said males are the one in the forefront, and Advocate Mangena presented a case defending males. Don't you think if we have these kind of scenarios, we'll never reach a stage whereby we are finding an amicable solution to the problem that is killing our continent? The next one is to I'm concerned that the dream that you said you have of an Africa that is free from gender-based violence will be turned. Now males are said to be at the forefront, but tomorrow it will be females because of the colonial education that they are facing from back at home. So don't you think maybe part of realizing this dream, we need to look at these 4 things that Shibamandra spoke of: colonial education, religion and culture, and the education that we receive from media as the best perpetuators of this thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Captured. I think we have the last gentleman somewhere. Yes, sir, please go ahead.
Sama tome regel tami shega moga mo ulu kere all protocol observed. My sister from another mother, next to Ragaji Matawata. Can you please try to advise your friend, your peers, to stop feeding us with the love potions? Because that, the love potion is one of the cause. Remember, you feed me with love potion. Maratisho. We call it Maratisho. You feed me with love potion. In the next 3 months, you will sit house apart. So you see that it's a cause because of love potion. If I don't disaster. Another thing.
Sir, we were not trying to stop you. Can you just put the mic?
Oh,
yeah,
so thank you.
Yes.
Oh, oh, okay. My sister, negere kopa or advise your peers, your friend, or our stopper who feed a gadi begaminangeva. The love coaching. Because that's why nowadays when we say the perpetrator, we refer majority about males. It's because of the females are the ones feeding us with the love potion, and in the next coming 2 months, we should just some bad. So you see that it's someone they are giving violent because never look at kura some matter kabon. It tomo way kura I tend to Islam such. So Sanatan keep. But they are the one who feed me with that. So keep me forever. Another thing, another issue that we are having in one way on GBV, it's a serious loophole. That unfinished project of building a police station. Remember when we are transporting our victims to Gerard, our perpetrators to Ottawa and Hennesburg. Imagine the kilos. That's why you will almost each and every day you find the vehicles in Mampwe, Dili broken, Duche Maditena, always the vehicle go to service. So I will suggest and ask to PC, but please push very hard and partner with the university, because we know in SAPS you have boundaries. You cannot really question and then in public works, then they say no, stop there. But if the university, I know there is no way university is not allowed to question the public works. Because if I remember well, the public works is the one that is responsible to finish that project. It's almost 10 years now. The project is not yet finished. So can you please give us an answer why the project is not finished and what's the strategy? So my strategy, let's partner with university. When we go to public works, if you go with us and GBV frontline workers and other private stakeholders, they won't chase you. They will respect us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Sir, I see you have a question or a comment. Can you just go straight to it? I understand that there are issues. Please just go straight to it.
Yeah, thanks very much. I have two questions, but I will try to be fast. The first one is directed to Ms. Legai. Ma'am, you have mentioned gender equality campaigns as one of the ways of curbing or doing away with GBV. Now, we are Africans, and believe you me, there are villages in deep rural areas where they still practice the norm that a man will always be above a woman, and that they can never be equal. Now, in places like that, how can you begin to shout gender equality in a place of which they are not even ready or willing to accept or to adopt such a concept? Yes, ma'am, tell me that how are we going to go about it and where are we going to start? To Advocate Raku, hey, I'm very much sorry, it seems like I'm going to be, I don't know, rude, but I'm not going to be rude, but you are not going to like my question. Advocate, you have mentioned that the problem starts when it comes to the issue of paying Mahadi or Lobola, because after having paid Lobola, the man feels entitled to the woman, or that the woman should be a subject. Of course, someone else may argue that if I have paid a fortune for my car, of course I should not be told how I should utilize that car. Now, like if I have also paid Lobola, then why should you not submit to me? Perhaps maybe it's high time that we do away with Mahadi or Lobola. If it creates a problem, then why don't we just stop the issue of Mahadi? What do you think? Thanks very much.
Thank you, colleagues. We don't have much time. I see there are colleagues who want to ask questions. Okay, there's a green light that you can ask. Yeah, because I'm looking at time. Can you just please, you are going to be the last person. You are going to be the last person. Please, go straight to the point. Please.
Yeah, no, thanks, Program Director. Yeah, my brief question goes to Ms. Legai. Of course, she gave a very beautiful presentation, but I had mentioned the question of some of the solutions that institutions of higher learning must make, or perhaps in some cases are failing to make. I'm going to give, a close instance to the institution that we are in now, where there was an establishment of the gender desk, led of course by Reverend Dr. Rapapa. That is just some of the initiatives that institutions of higher learning have gone on to make in order to address, the national scourge of gender-based violence, especially amongst young people in institutions of higher learning. Again, the question is, how do we then, Ms. Legai, make, some of these presentations that we are having on a day-to-day basis in different programs? How do we then make sure that these presentation and proposed solution reach the communities, because I think the most important thing is to address, our people at the villages and so on and so forth. So how do we make sure that this is not just us as academics, trying to better our institutions' research objectives and so on and so forth, but mainly to go and make sure that whatever that we have penned reaches, the people that are most relevant in the communities. So I think that is my question.
Thank you very much. I'm going to afford this opportunity to Advocate Raku together with Ms. Lahai, just to reflect on the questions and comments. One would appreciate if you can do that very quickly. I understand that there are too much, but please, we still have other speakers that we want to engage. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the questions. I hope I'm audible. In answering the first question, which is the link between bullying and GBV. We do know that when a child is bullied and they don't necessarily deal with the emotional trauma, it can affect them as adults, and they're more likely to perpetrate, to the perpetration of violence as adults, in the sense that they don't necessarily learn how to deal with their emotions. And whenever other people like to call it provocation, whenever they're provoked, they just react without thinking. That is the link between bullying and GBV, the effect that bullying has on a person. Do we have female bullies? Yes, we do have female bullies. Okay, in answering the fifth and the last question, to say that for as much as we're having these conversations, how do we then make sure that people and communities know about these conversations, and of course there's change? It starts with you. How will they know if you don't take anything from what we're having and what we're doing right now? It starts with you. But we're people of social media. It starts with you defending the rights of females in social media. It starts with you with the conversations that you have at night with your families to think that this is wrong and this is what we can do. And another thing, because you know what is right and what is wrong, we do have various organizations that deal or help victims of GBV. You can volunteer. We can't say that we want to see change and yet we don't want to be involved in doing that or making that become a reality. So it starts with you guys making sure that you play a part in social media, Twitter for instance, of course volunteering at different organizations, as well as making sure that you as an individual, when you go home, you take 5 boys, you mentor them, you teach them about respecting women, you teach them about their rights, you teach them about what is wrong and what is right. That is how we're going to see the change that we are looking for, and ensuring that people at home, back at home, know about these changes. The gentleman who was talking about morality, so I didn't really get your question, but I'd just like to say that I believe that females in here do have you and they stop treating you guys morality. And with regards to the second and the third question, I didn't necessarily get it. I'm not too sure if those were the question or a comment set. And the gentleman who asked about social media and whatnot, I don't know if the question was the role of social media in ensuring that there's change. Am I correct?
No, I was basically asking how are we going to ensure that even though we're using those whatever that they're playing on TV, how are we going to ensure that the lesson that they're teaching to the children? Because basically, I believe more like this thing of gender-based violence, it started at a very young age. I learn it there and apply when I'm old, when I feel like, okay, now I can beat you. So how are we going to ensure that, okay, at a very young age, what children are going to watch, they are good for them, they're going to learn something good, not what they are providing now.
Okay, I'm not too sure if you're aware, but currently we do have programs put in place in the sense that you're able to control what your siblings or your children, for instance, when you become a parent, watch. So we can start by doing that and ensuring that we control what our siblings watch at this point. And of course, before they wash anything, you need to tell them, okay, you can't wash and explain because you just can't say that you can't wash. I hope I answered your question. Oh, and another thing, of course, teaching them and you also mentoring them, it can also assist.
Thank you. I actually agree with you, my colleague. You know, I always come with a disclaimer of disturbing the status quo. I see that I disturbed your status quo and you'll begin thinking about that. However, remember, I was very clear. I gave you sources as a lawyer. I said, social workers and police in my beautiful Mount Wayne police station agree and say GBV is caused by, and I repeat, mostly men. I never said men, I said mostly men. And I also agree with you that, remember, we talk of the general view and an exception. The general view is that our men are the ones who are raping us. The exception is that they are poor men who are abused by women and other men. And I said, going forward, let us have forums. Give the men the courage in your forums to say that you are a victim, just like a woman. Go and report. Tell the police officials in your men forums that, look, he is a victim in as much as he is a man. That's my way forward. So you are actually agreeing with me. The general rule and the exception, and I covered both. I always cover my back. All right, there's a question about NGOs, the chiefs, and every other people. Look, the new 2021 Amendment Act is doing exactly that. Hence I emphasize on it. Let us go and look at it. It is trying to bring everybody along. It is already defining that in certain circumstances, if you are a member of a committee, you have a duty to report abuse when you see it happen. If you are a professional, you have a duty. If you are a next door neighbor, don't come and say, you have a duty. And it actually says, should it be found that you were familiar with such and you did not report, you are actually liable for an offense, punishable by an imprisonment of 3 months. Because of time, I cannot go into details. So the NGOs, the chiefs, everybody, the society, it is a societal endemic. It needs us, boys, girls, and others. Because the Home Affairs are saying we have to have a box saying others. I don't identify as a girl, I don't identify as a boy, so I am an other. It is everybody's duty to come to the party and solve this matter. The gentleman who said upset, I'm never upset. I love upsetting people. And I agree, perhaps it's about time that Lobolo, those people that I taught, no. It's about time that we should cancel Lobolo. However, perhaps it's about time that we really go back before customary law. Our indigenous African law is. Because this law that you are practicing is informed by everything else except we should go back to Mujaji, we should go and create our own African law and agree that what exactly is Lobolo. Because Lobolo as is practiced today, it is what I was told by my mother, she was told by her grandmother, her great-grandmother, My therefore different and not equal to you because you don't have a home. So let's talk about equity and not equality. We have a duty to redress those people who are vulnerable. Whether you're an other, you're a she, or you're a he, we can never be equal, but we need to come to the party and perhaps look towards each other as human beings and not as girls and boys. Then we'll have Ubuntu, we'll have
for the response. Colleagues, allow me to quickly move to allow the second leg of our presentation. If there are follow-up questions, colleagues who meet outside, we will engage the speakers.
Thank you, Professor. And I'd like to greet all of you, including the management of the university, under the leadership today of Provincial and Advocate Robert. The leadership from SAPS, under the leadership of Commissioner and all of you colleagues and fellow students. I greet you in the wonderful name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen. I also want to thank the presenters that presented before me. But what I'm going to be doing from what they were presenting, I'm bringing everything home. They were talking generally out there what is supposed to be happening. But my focus will be what is happening in our institution. You know, as someone was already alluded that we do have a gender desk unit in the University of Limpopo. And this gender desk unit was established because of the policy, because of GBV policy and strategic framework 2020 by Higher Health. This one was we say that all the universities, to show that higher institutional learning are taking GBV and gender-related issues, we need to have this unit in all the universities and the TVETs. And that is why also at UL we do have this unit, gender desk. And we are giving services to prevent gender-based violence on campus, and also assist the survivors of violence, and also assist the perpetrators. we have established what we call Gender Desk Technical Committee. In the Gender Desk Technical Committee is all the directors of sections and division of the university to show that we are all responsible. Each and every division is represented in the Gender Desk. When we discuss issues, when we plan the program, we are all together. And also, we have established what we call Gender Equity Advisory Committee, which is our top management of the university. The members are top management of our university. Therefore, whatever the technical is doing through my unit, then we report to Gender Equity Advisory. And Gender Equity Advisory Committee, they report to Executive Management, Senate and Council about the gender issues of the university. Also, this unit, we develop policies and we implement them. And the first policy is that one of gender-based violence policy strategic framework from Institution of Higher Learning through Higher Health of 2020. And also Higher Health is developing and making sure that we are given all the protocols that we follow as Institution of Higher Learning. And also as a university, we do have a code of ethics for GBV prevention that was been approved by Council this year. And also we do have a sexual harassment policy and procedure of the university and protocol on the management of GBV also that was approved this year, 2023. Then in the event that the campus community member fails to adhere to these policies and procedures, disciplinary action will be taken under university's disciplinary policy and procedure. Then also, as a unit, we're ensuring that tangible assistance, that is emergency response, psychosocial support, trauma health care, and legal help are accessible to all students and staff. When I talk about GBV policy and strategic framework, it's from Department of Higher Education and Training through Higher Health. And this framework is responding to GBV as an impact on staff and students at universities and college campuses. And this framework guides and response strategy that will give direction on managing and responding to GBV critically. And this policy recognizes that GBV manifests in the following ways in institutions, and that frames to address these issues. In the form of grading or rating of appearance by verbal comments, wolf whistling, or other noises. And also stalking and repeated unwanted requests of dates. Also, that is harassment. If somebody you are requesting day to day and tomorrow and the next day, that person is refusing, you need to stop. Because if you continue, then it's going to be harassment. And then the use of work, either academic or administrative, as an excuse for inappropriate private meetings. Because sometimes you call somebody, whether it's your colleague as a staff or is a student that you are supervising, unnecessarily so, whereas your motive is not academic, but is other issues that you also want to address on that. And also, this GBV and strategic is also addressing rape and also sexual assault. Also the physical assault by intimate partners or against individual perceived as gender non-confirming. We had an awareness and campaigns on campus about LGBTQI community. Because in our community, in Mankweng area and also on campus, we do have a community of LGBTQI. And in our institution, they call themselves UL Rainbow. We do have that, they are with us. And that is why even last year, we had a workshop of all staff and students for human rights
it was rendered by the University of Pretoria. It was organized for students and staff of university. And with that, we wanted to understand the concepts, how we need to address the LGBTI community, and it was done in the sense that because these people, they are harassed. The main thing that why we are harassing them, sometimes you find that we don't address them properly. That is why when I'm standing here, when you want to address me, you need to ask me my pronoun. Because you can be looking at me as a she, whereas I'm saying I'm a he. Then those are those people who find that they are gender non-conforming. They are not females, they are not males. Then sometimes you find that in class, you classify people that, we're going to group you. And you say female this side, males this side. And you find that they say they are frustrated. Because if it's a transgender person, he's not falling under, or if he's a non-binary person, he's not under whether male or female. Then if you're still doing those grouping, then you need to be, you are really discriminating them. Request of demands for sex in exchange of improved marks. Sometimes you find that people are exchanging because they said, if you don't give me this, then you are going to fail this assignment. Or sometimes accommodation in residences or other needs and benefits. Spying or intruding upon women in residences while bathing or dressing also is an harassment. Streaking or flashing. Some people, you find that they are around campus, and you find that they are flashing. When somebody is flashing, he can be wearing, but when he meets somebody, he just expose, so that he can show the person that I'm selling this and all that. It's not allowed on campus. And in case of abusive relationships, preventing or interfering with partner studies, that is including holding fees for the person because of this, is also not fine, and also murder by an intimate partner. Then the principle of higher institution of learning policy and strategic framework is rights-based. Therefore, all of us, we do have rights, and also we do have responsibilities. We need to respect all other people's rights. And also the other principle is comprehensive and multifaceted approaches to GBV. That is why when we approach GBV, it's the responsibility of all of us. It's not the responsibility of a specific unit or a specific office, or it's it's all of us that we need to be coming together. That is why I was so excited, Advocate, when we are saying we are arranging this type of a seminar. And also another principle is comprehensive and multifaceted approaches to GBV prevention. The main thing for us is to prevent. I don't want to see myself with Mr. Siminya, 1 o'clock at the SAPS police station, reporting cases and cases. Our main focus, we need to prevent. That is why we do have campaigns. That is why we do have awareness. And also, as a university, we do have zero tolerance to discrimination and harassment. Also, we do have what we call Code of Ethics for GBV Prevention. Excuse me. All campus community members are required to sign unto and adhere to an agreed upon institutional code of ethics. This could be at the point of students' admissions, student elections into leadership structures within the institution in the case of staff at the time of employment or contracting. You need to be signing this code of ethics for GBV prevention. And this code of ethics constitutes a set of standards for appropriate behavior. It also gives guidance on how to avoid situations that increase chances of behavior that may be classified as inappropriate. The code of ethics should be interpreted in a spirit of common sense with the best interest of the most vulnerable members of the campus community being the primary consideration. And in this code of ethics, it includes adherence to the highest ethical standard, human dignity, compliance with the rules and regulation and policy of the institution, respect of others, respectful behavior, open exchange of ideas, refrain from hate speech, alcohol and substance abuse that is not allowed, consequences of failing to adhere to this code of ethics. Then it's all the standard. Then we are elaborating what are we supposed to be the behavior that we want on campus. And you need to sign. Then we do have what we call sexual harassment policy and procedure. You know, the university is committed in providing a work and study environment that is free from any form of unfair discrimination or harassment. The university is committed of taking action to discourage sexual harassment, increase awareness that such behavior is unacceptable, to ensure that related complaints are dealt with fairly and promptly. All employees, job applicants, students, and other persons who are dealing with the university have the right to be treated with dignity. This policy and procedure shall apply to all employees, students, visitors, job applicants, clients, suppliers, contractors, or any other form of person who are dealing with the university. As long as you are a visitor for that day, you need to be treated with dignity. Therefore, failing that we are treated, then you need to report. And you know, we do have, in that policy, we do have forms of sexual harassment, and those are classified as physical, and the physical one is that one that all unwanted physical contact, ranging from touching to sexual assault or rape, including strip search, such by in or in the presence of the opposite sex. And also, in this, the other forms include the verbal forms of sexual harassment. And the verbal forms are unwelcome induce, suggestion or hints, sexual advances, comments with sexual overtune, sex-related jokes, or insult or unwelcome graphics, comments about person's body made in their presence or directed towards them, unwelcome and inappropriate inquiries about person's sex life. You know, if you are in a meeting, or maybe you are supervising somebody, why are you asking a student or maybe your fellow colleagues, are you married? Are you having a sexual partner? That is not necessary, because that is not a right platform where we are. And it's not for your interest to know the sexual life of that person. And you find that even others continue by saying, if the person says, yes, I do have a boyfriend, and he continue asking, is he satisfying you? Yeah. And if the fellow students say, yes, what about financially? Then those things are not welcomed. And also unwelcome whistling towards direct to a person or a group of persons. Then also there's another form of sexual harassment, which is non-verbal. Then it's unwelcome gestures, indecent exposure. You know, I normally say those people, sometimes when we are on campus, please don't come to campus I normally don't say half naked, I say half dressed. When I want to put it in a nice way. Unwelcome display of sexual explicit pictures and objects. And also there is another form which is called quid pro quo harassment in that policy. This one occurs when a member of management or an employee undertune or attempts to influence the process of employment, promotion, training, discipline or dismissal, salary increment or any other benefit for an employee or a job applicant or student in exchange of sexual behaviors. If you don't do this, you are not going to get promotion. You are not going to get sexual, that is sexual harassment. And the last form is sexual favoritism. This exists where a person who is in a position of authority rewards only those who respond to her or his sexual advances, whilst others deserving employees or students who do not submit themselves or any sexual advances are denied promotions, merit rating, or salary increases, or even any other benefit. You know, all these forms of harassment, or some of these forms of sexual harassment, which are considered harmless, they can be harmless for one person, may be considered offensive to another. because we are having different social background or cultural background, may lead person to perceive the same conduct differently. If somebody is talking about, my private part in Sepedi, and that is an insult for me as a Northern Sotho person. But if he talk about it in English, as if it's a nice word, that is why I'm saying it depends, how are you addressing a person, considering the person's background socially and culturally. And also, we are here to prevent, and we are preventing and preventing. That is why we do have this policy framework. That is why we do have this protocol. That is why we make sure that GBV is considered as a risk. And also, the question that they were asking is what we are also addressing as an institution. Do we know when is it occurring, where, when, and impacting on whom? The cases that we do have on campus mostly is from the students who are staying off campus. Why? You remember that Mankweng area is a hotspot. And Mankweng area is number 9 nationally. Therefore, our institution is right at the place where the community around is a risk community. Then that is why we are working with the landlords to make sure that their places are safe. Are there security there and all that? And also, she also mentioned, Ms. Lagai, that the movement, when our students are moving from campus, off campus to where they are staying, in between, they are being attacked by community members. Then that is also a challenge. That is why even during exam time, we are arranging with library to have a bus, so that they can transport our students to where they stay. The new direction for protecting women from sexual assault, for example, combining gender empowerment and self-defense. With this one, we are rendering workshop through one of our developmental partner, which is Future Families, which is a DREAMS partner. Then with this one, they are empowering women. We use punch bags there. So that if you are empowered physically, then you are going to be also empowered mentally. Because your no must be a no, and your yes must be that bold yes. You must not be in between. Because most of the cases, somebody was saying yes, and no, yes, no. Then we are empowering people to be bold when they speak about what they want. And also, when I talk about there's intervention with men, then we also have a workshop based on intervention. As we know that this year, in May, we have launched Men's Association Against Violence on Campus. And in that association, because men were silent, men were ironed at their back, men are stabbed, and they are silent. Because sometimes you address this girl who's been slapped, and when you call the perpetrator, who is a boyfriend, he turn and say, she stabbed me first before I slapped her. Then because they are silent, and also the statistic and people who are reporting is mostly girls and young women and also children. But also we do have intervention for men. And we are breaking the silence as a university to say not in our name, because it's not all men who are perpetrators. There are all those men who are saying we are standing against violence. That is why we do have those more than 100 members of Men's Association Against Violence on campus. And also we strengthen the capacity of peer educators to identify and support survivors of violence crucial in the prevention and response to GBV. Then we do have peer counselors and peer educators on campus. They are our foot soldiers on the ground. Then they bring and they identify all those. And we are also working with Men's Forum and Men's Sector from local municipality and also the district. as a university. And also the prevention is to empower self-defense and also we know that there's an impact that also they have touched there. That, this GBV, the impact and the effect of it to us as in the institution of higher learning are as follows. Academic consequences such as poor academic performance. Sometimes you need to find out if somebody is not performing well, because others, they are not violated or abused here. They've been abused from home. And unfortunately, others by their biologicals. And the student will be reporting that since I was 8, my biological father was doing this. And I'm here. I cannot concentrate because I'm disturbed. It's flashing, and always when he calls, I'm disturbed. I cannot continue. Others, you find that they go for alcohol and drug abuse because they cannot know how to deal with this. And psychological consequences such as the depression. Others are depressed, dissolution, and unhappiness. General condition including physical pain, hypertension, reproductive problems, and HIV. And also there is this post-traumatic stress disorder that they face with, and also re-victimization. I wonder why. Those people who have been raped when they are young, they become raped again when they are teenagers. And also when people, you find that they are always victims and victims. Then also when we counsel them, we also want to know actually, how they conduct their lives so that at least we can break this chain of re-victimization. And also, how are we reporting the cases or initiating a mental trauma? Therefore, it is who is raped or sexually assaulted is offered a humane and professional care and support. Because insensitive and ignorant or insufficient institutional respondent constitute secondary traumatization. If somebody is reporting to you, then it's not your duty, whether you are a staff member or whether you are a fellow student, to ask questioning the person. You need just to refer the person to gender desk. It's not your responsibility to start to say, at what time was it? What were you wearing at that time? It's not your responsibility. Whether you are a lecturer, it's not your duty. You need just to refer to that person. And also, if that person needs to report the case, I'm not going to be starting again asking, because I know that the SAPS are going to be asking all those questions to avoid this secondary traumatization. Because if you ask again and again, this person is traumatized because he is living in that incident. And also, we are a gender desk and we are a TV White Space Center. We are emphasizing that whether you are being physically assaulted or raped, you need to report within 72 hours. Then why 72 hours? Because we want to give you immediate medical attention, like including post-exposure prophylaxis for GBV, for HIV. We are going to test you for HIV. And if you are positive, it means that you are not positive from that incident. You have been positive before that rape, within 72 hours. Then if you are negative, then we give you the treatment which is post-exposure. That you have been exposed, then you take that treatment for a month. Then you need to take it religiously like that. And also in that 72 hours, we also want to, we also assess whether there were been sexual transmitted infection. That's what we can give the treatment. And also post-coital contraception to prevent pregnancy. Because, yes, termination of pregnancy is done. But it's a difficult procedure when you are 3 months and say, I want to terminate this, even for your physical health. It's better within 72 hours, then we give you that pill, then that just disappear in case you become pregnant. But if you come after 4 months as a student, say, I've been raped and I'm pregnant, I don't want this pregnancy. Yes, it can be done surgically, but it's not a nice procedure. And also within that 72 hours, if you want to lay charge with SAPS for that specimen collection before hygiene procedures, because they will bring the kit, and from there we take that specimen. Then it needs that time before you have undergone that. Then I'm just rushing now to the roles of gender desk. What are we doing as a gender desk of the university? We provide a safe and confidential space with full-time counseling and support to complainants of victims of GBV and perpetrators. Confidentially, we advise complainant and victim of GBV of their options. We don't say go and report, we say what we want. But if somebody's minor, that one I just rush with the person to go and report. But if somebody is not a minor, then we give the person options. Then we drive initiative to enhance awareness and communication on general gender issues. Therefore, we are always there in each and every space when we are called to communicate and talk about all these gender-related issues. And also we provide educational programs regarding gender discrimination, sexual harassment, and sexual offenses prevention for staff and students on campus. Just like this year, we had a wonderful workshop. Yes, and in that workshop, there was also a training and a test. And those who passed, they are going to be given certificates that they've passed. Yes, we do have a date advocate. We are going to be given if we don't call you, it means that you didn't pass that test. It was for staff. Then also we receive and respond to, investigate or seek resolutions on allegation of unfair gender discrimination, sexual harassment, and sexual offenses. And also, we oversee an independent disciplinary procedure for formal complaint against staff or student accused of GBV. Then also, we are focusing as Gender Desk, we are focusing on Goal 7 and Goal 4, where we are saying we enhance the level of governance and administration within the university. And our key performance there, we develop and implement measures to reduce sexual harassment, GBV, and harm in the workplace. And also, with the Goal 4, that strengthens the role of the community engagement as a core function of the university. Because we are not isolating ourselves. We are in the community. Therefore, we also offer free online courses aimed at addressing skills development and issues affecting the youth. Then the prevention and awareness program, we popularize the policies, the guidelines, and also we conduct GBV sexual harassment workshop for staff and students, and also for our contractors. We provide counseling and staff for the survivors and also for the perpetrators. You know, most of the perpetrators, those that were taken for community work, you'll find that the background of this person, he was being groomed or maybe from the family of abuse. Therefore, those people, you find that why are we also following them? Because we want to assist them so that they must not continue, abusing or maltreating others, because it's what they've copied from home. Then that is why for us, we are concerned about both, whether this person is a survivor or. And also we provide counseling. We're working with Men Association Against Violence, and also are working with LGBTI community, and we are coordinating and facilitating awareness on campus, and supporting students on gender-related studies, and attending national, provincial, and meetings and conferences, and also hosting such. We are working together with external and internal stakeholders. And the internal stakeholders is all our safety and security, our Riachona residences, health and wellness, and counseling and development center, SRC gender, and all the faculties. And also we are working with SAPS closely, also through to Zela Care Center. And when we were being addressed as a university about the framework of SAPS, they've allocated somebody who is a gender desk for the university. Nowadays, we are just communicating with that person, and he can come on campus, and we deal with the cases, not running and queuing at the police station. And also when we go to Tutuzela Center, and in Mangweni, is a one-stop center where all the psychologists, the social workers, the doctors, and the police also are called, who are trained, because it's not all the police who knows how to talk or maybe address the gender-based issues. Wishing you all the best when we are dealing with this pandemic, and also when we are finding solution for Africa. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. I'm informed that we have in our midst Advocate Masindi from the National Prosecuting Authority. We also like to recognize you. Without much, yes, sir, thank you very much. Lieutenant General Hadebe, the floor is yours. A round of applause, colleagues.
Let me start by greeting everybody in this house, and also just to reflect that all the speakers that have spoken here have left me with nothing than to address you on issues of policy. They have prepared presentations basically that inform any topic that they have, but in my case you can see the program says I must just talk on police perspective. But in a serious note, let me acknowledge the Vice Chancellor in absentia. It is prudent for me to acknowledge the Vice Chancellor for the generosity that he has shown to us since then as SAPS. And even today we are here in this establishment, we really making sure that between the university and us, we forge that particular relationship that we desire, so that as and of when we don't have answers anywhere, we are able to solicit answers from the academy. The Executive Dean, Professor Sibanda OS, the University of Limpopo School of Law Director, Advocate Rapatsa, and the heads of all different departments in the university, the professors, the doctors, the advocates. It's so appealing to be in your midst today. The chairperson of the Community Policing Board, Babu Khasago, our link between us and the community, who is also the treasurer at the National Committee. We appreciate that we are represented, our communities here are represented at that level through Babu Khasago. The chairperson of the Youth Crime Prevention, the Youth Crime Prevention, Mr. Kabelo Machete, is also present with us. General Mashilo, the District Commissioner of this particular district where we are, and also the provincial head that has joined us in this session. Let me also acknowledge the NPA, Advocate Masindi, who is also representing Advocate Mokhale, who is engaged continuously. We're working together. You'll know that the three-tier justice cluster, in the main, the police, justice, as well as correctional services, though we are joined with Home Affairs as well, we see each other as one family based on the responsibility that are bestowed upon us. Let me also greet the guests that I'm sharing this platform with them, our Advocate Rakubu. Thank you very much, members of the media. Let me say all protocol observed, and greetings finally to the members of the South African Police Service that have joined this session, and the bigger family of the university that is also here. Let me start by one of the speakers who spoke about the police station of Mankweng. that there must be something that we are doing, and actually said I must come to the advocates here. Because if you said I must come to the university and partner with them to go and raise this issue, I think it's of the view that we have advocates, people who knows the law and everything, they can advise us properly. So, but let me indicate that I have taken some inroads in terms of dealing with that. Hence, you will know that the environment contribute to a bigger space to make sure that these members that are in that environment, they perform up to the standard that the community expect. Now, if you look at Mankweng, though they are trying to build a 5-star police station, but it still have all this neck that it has been left unattended. We have taken some discussion forward with the Minister of Public Works, Sihle Zigalala. We have discussed a number of our infrastructure projects. And I think at this point in time, we don't need an advocate. We were able to advocate the matter ourselves, and the project will kickstart to be completed in March, after a long debate that we had with the minister as well, and expressing our frustrations with this project of Mankweng. We believe that when it takes off, it will be completed at the time that it will be stipulated. You will know that as police, we're supposed to also have the VFRs in our police station as part of the support and care that we need to give to the victim of GBV. And in Mankweng police station, we have a difficulty because that environment is not viable. They are actually assisted by the Tutuzela Center, but at the police station itself, we're supposed to have that as part of our contribution as SAPS in support of the pillars of the National Strategic Plan. Ladies and gentlemen, let me say, as we gather as part of this multi-sectoral approach to strengthen the battle against the gender-based violence pandemic that has infiltrated Limpopo communities, it is critical for us to use this seminar to share knowledge and best practices. And I think the speakers that has been here have done that eloquently so, and let alone the questions that has been also posed on the floor. It is also critical that we use this seminar to share also frustrations from our side as police in our endeavors to deal with this scourge. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a societal issue that needs to be addressed from all angles, be it in the institution of higher learning, households, work environment, churches, and the community at large. Let us make a meaningful contribution during this seminar as we have already started going forward, because I think this is not the first and the last seminar. We're still going to go further and then draw all the NGOs, draw all the other stakeholders that need to talk best in terms of this particular subject. From the information that we have gathered here, I think it makes sense for us in many instances. Yes, some of the things we are aware of it, but what is equally important is that we educate our community, all of us, because that is one of the problems that is lacking. I think the speaker spoke mainly awareness. They spoke about educating our community so that we make sure that they understand what is within their rights. I believe that this could be a turning point of our challenges, Rona, as police, that we are faced on a constant basis. We need also to take a closer look in terms of whether did we lose the moral, are we losing the morals within the community? And therefore we call for the pastors or the spiritual fraternity to also have some projects and programs that will desire to address that, because in the main, you see what is happening in the province, you might think it's not normal, there's abnormality of some kind. I've been in a number of meetings and protests where there is discussions going on talking to ending gender-based violence and perpetrators to stop abusing women and children. But we have and in general, like what Advocate Rakubu, our statistics has shown that yes, Advocate Mangena has said, it is based on the fact that there is underreporting. And we acknowledge that men still have a fear to go and report issues of GBV. In many instances, I get the calls as the Provincial Commissioner where men, noble men for that matter, that will say, that's why you see, gender-based violence is affecting everybody. It doesn't only affect a particular sector of the community. It affects the professionals, it affects Bafundis, it affects everyone in the society. Calling and says, hey, but General, I've got 1, 2, 3 issues. Exactly what has been said, that when they come to the police stations, the men find themselves being ridiculed by our own officers. And I think maybe it's the sense that there is still that belief that a man cannot be abused by the woman. The issue of the patriarchy that is in this, police, they are also in that particular mentality. That is why they find it like it's a joke that if a man approach the community service center and say, I'm abused. We are working on that. They also face a lot of lashing in terms of that if we find them having conducted themselves in that manner. Because we need the men. Otherwise, what we learn within psychology is that men buckle inside, and when they buckle inside, they actually exert the buckliness through either being violent, and then a lot of things go haywire. Let me say the province of Limpopo, we are a particular Mankweng police station. I think I've been saying this in many spaces, that Mankweng at national level is also falling in the top 30. For the province of Limpopo, we have 5 stations that are in the top 30 national when it comes to the issues of GBV. And that is Toheando, which is leading in the province. Yeah, I'm getting hot. Thank you very much. It's leading in the province in the sense that Toheando itself is falling at number 2 currently, following Inanda of KZN. And on the top 10, I think all my stations are in that top 10. And you can just imagine what does it mean to us every time you go for that accountability. You see your station reflecting in the top 10 countrywide. I think we have got 1,000 and something police stations. So you can just imagine that when it comes to rape in particular, we are sitting on the top 5. It's Inanda that is just number 1 in the country, and the rest of the station are following a station from Limpopo. We need to begin to be worried, all of us, in every corner where we are, and start to have this dialogue of saying, what is it that we're going to do to change this narrative that we're experiencing in this province? Limpopo province has experienced some of the most horrendous incidents of rape, kidnapping, and killings, which is meted against women and children of this province. It is indeed shameful and worrying to witness such acts of immorality within our province. Shanela is killing me because I'm working during the night. Have you imagined if you keep on sweeping the street during the night and that cold front is killing us? Even General Mashilo, I see the voice is not coming out from us because we constantly on the street, we have indicated and declared to say, if it calls for us to protect this community, we will sleep in the street if it calls to do so. So don't worry about my voice. It's constantly killing me. But all what I'm trying to say, it is indeed shameful and worrying to witness these acts of immorality. Recently in the province, I want to make an example. There's a 15-year-old girl from Pepu village who has been coming from school, just imagine, has been kidnapped by three boys. They took this girl for the whole week. Then she had to crawl, climb the walls to run away to free herself. And all 3 of these boys have gang raped this woman, this young woman. what worries us is that there's family, there's a father, there's a mother in that particular household. Yes, I'm told that the boys are having another room, but when you go and ask, the father will say, I saw this girl, but then you ask yourself, what is going on to our parents when they see a girl that they don't know and they don't even bother to ask? What is this girl? Who is this girl? And unfortunately, this girl was kidnapped, had no way to run away until such time that she got that time and ran away. Now, that has happened in the district of Vempe. On Friday, the 20th of October, I'm not talking about incidents that are very far, there was a murder of a woman who has been allegedly murdered by his boyfriend. Not very long, a 6-year-old has been raped by his own father. As I'm talking, there's a rape of a 2-year-old raped by a 12-year-old. Now, I'm tempted to think, one of the speakers has spoken about what is the role of the media in positively reflecting this thing. And you look at where does a 12-year-old get this, that he can sleep or rape a 2-year-old sister. And these are siblings, in fact. That is the very same act of immorality that we are talking about, that we need to go in depth and say, what are the contributing factors to that? I think General Mashilo has posed a number of questions that are sitting in our space that we don't find answers. And maybe answers we can find here from all of you in terms of your research and looking in depth, and come with some recommendations like what that I have mentioned. It depicts continuously challenges of women and children that they continuously endure in their respective spaces. Let me also indicate a brief synopsis of the crime picture of the province, which suggests that there is more work for us to be done. We need to rid our communities of the many prevalent crimes that are taking place. If we calculate gender-based violence, we talk about the crimes that range from murder, attempted murder, assault GPH, and assault common. We talk about the arson, we talk about malicious damage to property. These cases, they mainly prevalent to be calculated in terms of our calculation, looking at the picture of the GBV, because they happen between people who are in a relationship of some kind. The crime picture of the province suggests that during the financial year 2020-2021, we recorded 194 cases compared to the 265 cases reported during 2021-2022 financial year, and lastly recorded 307 during 2022-2023 in terms of sexual offenses only. Sexual offenses, in particular rape, is very stubborn in the province, and that is the only crime that makes us to sit at the top 30 nationally. At some point, there has been a debate at national to say, what is the similarity between Thohoyandou and Inanda of KZN? And if you have been at Inanda and you then in Thohoyandou, you can visualize the similarities that you can find in both the two places. We have also seen murders in the province that we have recorded taking an increase. If you look at the 2021 statistics, they show very, very low numbers. The main reason you will remember, everybody will remember that was the COVID era, and not a lot of people were on the street, not a lot of people were active. But then when you go to 2021, 2022, when everything started to open, the statistics shows a huge increase that we have seen. Equally so, with us in the province, we recorded in 2021 49 murders of women and children and men. Maybe one out of those numbers, it's a man who might have been killed by his wife or a girlfriend, as compared to the 79 that were recorded, murders that were recorded in 2021-2022. During the financial year 2022-2023, we recorded 61. It shows like it's a decrease, and I think you will all understand that at some point the minister has indicated that Limpopo is the safest province among all other provinces when it comes to murder, and many other analysts have spoken, so we have constantly shown nationally low numbers in terms of murder as a province. However, these numbers that goes to the issues of women and children are indeed a worrying factor. And in the main, most of our murders are not emanating from crime, they are emanating from GBV, and then others are emanating from mob justice that we always experience from time to time. There is no way we can celebrate murders. We will celebrate them. We will celebrate when there are no murders reported at all. The reason why I'm mentioning these figures is for all of us to understand the severity of these cases. Behind these statistics are people's lives. The lives of our people matters, and hence we are determined to work tirelessly and around the clock as SAPS to ensure that the safety and security of our citizens is realized. In terms of domestic violence incident, there is a huge surge in the number of cases that are reported for domestic violence. The province has recorded 6,272 domestic violence related cases. These are all other cases that I have mentioned that emanate from a domestic relationship. This huge number, it has, when you look at the segmentation of these figures, you can see that leading in the province is the district of Vembe district, and followed by Capricorn district, the district where we are. So we are all not safe in the district of Capricorn, let alone Mankweng being a station that is also identified. At some point, I went to Mankweng just to check, and I got that even the month was not, I think it was mid-month, there were 102 protection orders that has already been recorded. Mankweng alone. Then you can realize the extent. No wonder when you look at their statistics, you can see it ranges from your assault common, your assault GPH, including the arson and the malicious damage. Because if then I don't want you, then you go and burn the clothes that you bought for me. Or you burn the shack. And as they burn the shack, what is prevalent in the province is that they will go during the night and burn the shack. We'll all know about the incidents that happened in this province where a woman who was in love with a man, and when he says, I don't want you any longer, I don't know whether there was a love potion or whatever that is there, I'm not sure. The man went away, but he came during the night. He set the whole two-room house on fire, and this woman was sleeping with his sister. The sister had 2 children. They were all sleeping in one house, and then she had also 2 children. They burned, 3 of them in that incident died based on that alone. Yes, Capricorn district with Mankweng is a concern for us. And I think when they look at and I wanted to know basically where is the university, but the university I'm told is in sector 1, and I think sector 1 is not doing bad in the Mankweng area, because the station is divided in terms of the different sectors. But of concern is Khatoka, which is leading in terms of the number of the GBV related cases that are taking place, followed by Ramakanye, Ramutiba, Moremadi Park, Takhalang. These spaces has recorded a high number, these particular segments within the community. And therefore we call everybody should not look away. And I'm looking at these numbers that are sitting here. If all of us, we can play advocacy of GBV? To what extent can we preach this gospel and make sure that it reaches up to the lowest and lowest ear? And the most prevalent challenges that we have picked out is issues of jealousy that is contributing to that, the issues of love triangle. Alcohol is also playing a role, and in general, the protection orders where there's provocation, this disagreement between people who are in a relationship, interpersonal tolerance, as well as sexual gratification. Ladies and gentlemen, let me also say the police have done so many strides when it comes to this. You'll recall that within the university, I think many of the students were embattled by a criminal called Bota who was breaking in the students' accommodation, and we're glad that justice has been served. He has been sentenced to 85 years imprisonment. I don't think he will come out now and now, Advocate Masin. We are delighted, and we have seen some decrease in terms of the incident that we're picking up in the residence of the students, which is surrounding the universities. But that has not ended. There's still more that we still have to do, because we still pick issues of assault. Many of the cases that are reported comes from the young generation of this particular station precinct. Although I may not say whether it's a university student or it's just ordinary, you all understand that Imankong has a highly active population based on the university and all the young people that are here. And if you go during the night, I think I've been here and I was shocked that there is a tavern owner that is actually giving a free ride to the student, parking at the gate, giving a free ride for them to go to his establishment to enjoy. What does that mean? Really, it's a worrying factor for us, because we are saying this man is making sure that even if you say, I don't have money, you will just write in that kumbi free of charge. You go to an establishment, you don't have money, you are a girl child, you start sitting there, and then come this boy, entice you, buy you 2 or 3. From there, he goes with you. And this is reality. It's what is happening on a daily basis. Let me say, we have learned from the reported cases that most crimes happen when victims, or particularly women, walk to and fro and from the liquor outlets at night. They get raped during that particular time, assaulted or killed, even exposed. If it's not her or being a victim, sometimes you find they are going with their boyfriends during the night, and comes boys, they kill this boyfriend. And that is even also exposing this girl child into trauma that you will be struggling to deal with it further. And then it exacerbates many of our problems that we're having. The question is how these women can avoid these attacks. And secondly, they get attacked when they are walking alone in the bushes or in deserted areas. I'm not sure whether it's when people say Limpopo is safe, does it give people the edge of saying I can walk at 3 o'clock or at 2 o'clock alone, being a girl child or whoever? Because this is what we see as we work during the night. 2 o'clock when the taverns are closing, you will see a girl walking in the bushy areas. And you, as a police officer, you get these goosebumps. How this girl have that? And you stop and says, where are you going? I'm going home. That's where we pick up a lot of the rape cases that we see that brings us in the red, because there's that element of not taking care of ourselves as well. Ladies and gentlemen, in the process of dealing with the perpetrators, the police are compromised because some of the women are not resolute. On the other hand, they raise alarm. They raise alarm for law to take its course. On the other hand, they succumb to the manipulation whereby this particular perpetrator is now begging as if he's dying. The cases they end up being withdrawn by the victims. These are some of the challenges that we need to address as a society, because then that perpetrator will still continue, will not learn from the acts, and that is allowed by the manner in which us as women we behave in circumstances like that. Not only that, we have seen women being killed in many instances after having withdrawn the cases, because the perpetrator has been so this loving man or husband now who says, I don't know what went wrong with me. But when you say, okay, I take your apology, shortly after that, it then become a monster and something bigger than what has happened, it happens. We also equally not happy, though we know advocates. I think I'm talking right here to advocates. Though I know that people have got their rights, but I think somewhere we also advocates contribute in a way as well. Now, I'm saying this because you will all remember an incident that happened here in Mankweng. Advocate Masindi will know very well this incident. We find ourselves as police being the sector that has to be blamed so much, because in that incident, police have arrested the perpetrator of a domestic violence, brought him in the police station of Mankweng, come an advocate and a prosecutor, and then they negotiate. I don't know what happened. Then the next thing, the person was released. And when we arrested this person, he was also charged with intimidation, as he intimidated the victim that is going to kill the victim. And shortly after he was released on bail that were agreed between the advocate and the prosecutor, he went back to the victim and he killed the victim. But who was blamed? The police were the one to be blamed. I'm saying these things that these are the frustrations that we are getting. And all sectors, when we talk about, if we really want to make a difference with the issue of the GBV, I think we should not have mercy, even if the law, when it allows, because it goes really deeper to the morals and the social fibre of our society. Maybe if this man was left in the police station, he would have cooled off and come into senses gradually, so as he go to court and other process take place, maybe later is released. But at the time when you are still angry, having these threats, and now prosecutors say, or whatever, all these actors come together and they release, he was still, the emotions were still high. It was given that he might have done something that we all regretted why that has happened. But let me applaud these women also who take a stand and say, enough is enough. I cannot subject myself to be a punching bag. I'm taking the rightful course to make sure that my perpetrator pays for the acts that he has committed. I've said in so many times that GBV affects everybody. It affects us as police officers. In our own space, we do have these particular issues that are bothering us. And I think you also have taken cognizance that in the main police, they do femicide, because they will shoot the spouse and then shoot themselves, because they have the instrument to do it quicker than any other person. So we are in a serious problem. Of lately, you get all different sectors, and including lawmakers themselves. When it comes to issues of family, they find themselves not able to cope up, whether it's a psychosocial problem or it's, I don't know how to describe it, but I think it needs those who understand the mind of the people to look at it. Because you look at this good professional person, but you look at what he has done into the family, it doesn't reflect that particular person. So that's why you can see that some other people, there's a mental issue that is also looming in these particular issues. Let me encourage the men that are really men. I think there was an advert that was going on that really men don't rape. And I think all of us will say, really, men don't abuse their loved ones. Then they don't they don't tend their loved ones to be punching bags. They take care of them. The role of the men together with women is to be midwives of progressive society. We have a responsibility. As a society that thrives on one another's creative ability and unique identities. Culture holds an irrefutable mirror to the society. If this mirror of ourselves shows us as a human and loving people, we will love and respect one another. However, if this picture of ourselves is distorted and reflects us as subhuman, devoid of feelings of compassion and love for one another, we will treat one another with contempt as well as disregard of one another. Therefore, I call upon men to hold a mirror to their faces and see the true reflection of who they really are, whether they are the providers and protectors of their families or tormentors of their own flesh and blood. Whatever image they see in the mirror, tradition will transmit throughout the generations. The mirror of an African culture that I know is that of loving people, people sensitive to other weaknesses, and recognizes and respect one another's strength. Let love and common decency characterize the manner in which we treat each other as reasonable and self-respecting human beings. Ladies and gentlemen, we need the concerted effort of the members of the community to put a complete stop to the gender-based violence pandemic. We call upon every citizenry to get involved by establishing and joining structures that are available in the different communities that will ensure that the operating spaces of the criminals is narrowed. Our duty is to create a conducive environment for our communities so that they live a safe and secure life. We deserve better as such. We should live better as such. Not because someone decides it, but because we are worth to be respected and dignity, and the dignity that is afforded to everyone, and we won't compromise on that. As law enforcement authorities, we recommit again still that ourselves will make sure that we create this safe and secure environment by all odds for all the inhabitants of this particular province, and also ensure that we work together with the community structures, the community patrollers, the CSF, rural safety that we are currently working with. You have seen how much the rural safety, the relationship that we have built with them in the province, that in many instances they have dealt with crucial support that they brought to us as we arrest the 8 suspects of the CIT in the Woodspruit precinct. We will still continue forging a good working relationship with Amakosi, a non-governmental organization, the faith-based organization, and as well as our municipality, the councillors and all structures and leaders of the community, let alone high institutions of higher learning and the school. This morning, as we started this session, our teams has been in 2 schools within the province, within the district. And let me tell you, in one of the schools, 2 girl children came forth and said they have been raped. And when we calculate, they were, I think, 9 years old at that particular time. So these are the efforts that collectively the men in blue, they are continuously making inroads when it comes to that space, preaching the gospel to an extent that people feel that have that courage of coming forth and report such. This is the time to act, and we should act now, all of us, because today GBV you might see it next door, but tomorrow it will be looming in your own house. The action should not only be focused on criminals, but acts against our own behaviors that attract criminals. As part of our interventions, we will continue to maximize the capacity of our special units, such as the family violence, the child protection and sexual offences unit, to ensure that they deal decisively with cases of sexual offences. And brilliantly so, I've seen this particular environment doing a great job. I've indicated that we have also arrested a number of serial rapists, and it's through the hard work of these men and women in blue who serve in these particular units that are so also tormenting in their own space. You respect a policeman who work in this particular environment, because daily it works on them as well as individuals. You know, when you start not trusting even your own husband because of the encounters that you see, it's happening. And these men and women who works in this environment, they are constantly fighting that on their own and try to find a way how they navigate and still remain the police officers that the community expects to serve, to provide service in this environment. As I conclude, let me say it is necessary that all sectors of society join a social movement in the fight of gender-based violence and femicide. In particular, we expect that institutions like OUL, they provide solutions to the many of the problems that we are experiencing, Tina, as police officers. Our role is not to research, our role is to make sure that those who commit the crime, we take them where they belong. Therefore, academia must then begin to then evaluate these issues that are happening in the community and provide some recommendations for us to implement, and we will always be there to take any research that is put on the table with some recommendations that are there and see if we implement, can't we pilot it in a particular area. And I think it will be prudent if we start about Mankweng, which is highly in the agenda of the SAPS when it comes to GBV and the rape cases. Let me say thanks to all of you for being here. It has been a session that is really remarkable, and also I want to thank my advocate who works in my office, who made sure that he facilitated this with you, advocate in the law school. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, we are pressed for time. There's another group outside which want to utilize this venue. With that said, allow me to only recognize, or rather take 2 questions or comments, because we are pressed for time. We can't afford. 1, yes, sir. 2, then that's it. Sir, please shoot. Go straight to the point. Please go straight to the point.
Greetings to all of you, and I really appreciate the opportunity given. The question is actually directed to Lieutenant Hadden. I am very much concerned with our lazy police, men and women who are found in the station here. The reason I consider them to say lazy is because they tend to use feelings when we come and report cases, to the point whereby when you come and you say, no, I've been victimized by another student, they come and say, do not consider opening a case, but consider having a protection board, because that person has a future too. And in such kind of instances, in such kind of cases, we're going to have problems, because if we are not even allowed to open a case against another student, thinking about that they have a future, forgetting that when they do such, they forget that they also have a future. They will never learn. They will still do the same thing, hoping and believing that no, there will never be a case against them. They will only have protection orders. And which a protection order, it only protects me, but what happens when the same person does it to another person, besides being me? So my biggest question towards that is that what and how are you going to ensure that such kind of things don't happen in the future again? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mine is just a proposal and not and not a question. Seated here, I am convinced that this seminar failed to get into the root cause of GBV. In my opinion, it was just an awareness campaign exercise. So I want to come up with this proposal that we have a follow-up seminar of this nature. And one of the issues that I really want us to touch on is the issue pertaining to the frustration brought about by the issue pertaining to the frustration brought about by males who fail to contribute, or males who fail to pay the exorbitant price of mafuso. I want it to be touched because it is a very, very thorny and sensitive issue. And most of the males are victims based on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, colleagues. That is our question and comments. Colleagues, can we settle down so that we wrap it up? Colleagues, can we settle down so that we can wrap it up? Lieutenant General, can you assist with the comments? Yes?
All I can say, we have taken notes. We don't allow police to negotiate. We don't negotiate crime. If then there's element of a crime, they must open a case. The court is the only platform where negotiation can take place. But I think we're all informed also by the circumstances of that particular case as well. And you'll know, sometimes you get sentimental. If you talk student and another student, you will see very well that the future of this other student will be doomed. So if the student is studying, what is he studying for? Because then he will never get the job. Because this thing has got so many repercussions. And these children, they do this crime, lousy crime, not knowing that it blocks their way going forward. Now, as a police officer, you also become observant of that. And in many instances, we always say police officer must exercise a discretion in a particular matter. And maybe the discretion will say they rather have to look at other ways of dealing with them as a deterrent rather than crucifying this particular individual and go to the drain for life when he's frustrated at the end of the day. But other than that, we can't negotiate crime. Crime is crime. Thank you.
Captured. Dr. Rapakwana, can you just, in a minute, if possible, just give us your last bite, please?
Thank you, and thank you for this opportunity. What I can say is that whatever you are encountering, whether it's in the learning sphere or in the residences, wherever you are, if you want to report you are not happy about things that are happening. Also, we do have a protocol for whistleblowers, because sometimes there are other things that are happening and you are afraid to report because you don't know what will happen to you. Also, just know that as a whistleblower, then you are going to be protected, so that we need to know the extent and what is happening, and so that everything that is not right be taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. When you look at the program, you'd see that we have vote of thanks, announcement, and closure. Because of time, I'm going to call upon Advocate Rapata, who's going to close for us and deal with the announcement once and for all. With that said, Advocate.
Thank you very much, Program Director. I'm going to be very brief and to the point. But maybe before we officially adjourn, let me steal a moment to throw 1-2 comments. I'm saying this because I followed the deliberations, the presentations by all the speakers, and they pointed to one thing, and one thing only. South Africa is frustrated. South Africa is frustrated by the scourge of crime generally, and gender-based violence in particular. I said crime generally because You see, men and women in blue, in our midst, and even those that are busy as we speak now, are also not free, if you did not know. Coupled with that, South Africa is such an ill-disciplined society. And when you become an ill-disciplined society, the moral fabric that holds us together will automatically dissipate. That ill-discipline became evident here today, and I'll be irresponsible if I do not point it out. A young man comes here and he says policeman is lazy. That's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. It's like this fellow on social media who makes jokes. He says, no, this guy who keep on saying the policeman is not working, is not working. It's because I was saying it. Saying now you will see they are working. No, you will see they are very busy. Okay. She mentioned the question of balancing traits, the right to life, the perpetrator and the victim. I'm saying South Africa, we have got to get to a point where we are going to stop talk shows. We are going to stop just talking for the sake of it, because we want to tick the box that we had a seminar, we talked about it. I know what happens when this happens. It's because I'm talking and somebody feels uncomfortable, you are interrupting my speaking. That's unacceptable again. It's another element of ill-discipline. South Africans, I'm speaking here to the Provincial Commissioner, I'm speaking to the National Commissioner, I'm speaking to the Minister, Pegitele, I'm speaking to the President, I'm speaking to parliamentarians, the legislature. Let's stop playing. Let's develop the law. Because that's all we need. We have long passed the state of S versus Magwanyan. Those in law, you know what I mean by that. That is what became law. It abolished the harshest sentence, which we I think need. It abolished death penalty, but we are in a stage where the law needs to be developed. There's nothing wrong with developing the law. The policeman cannot do anything. It's all in the hands of parliamentarians, the legislature. The case of somebody who gets arrested and somehow gets a bail and go back to perpetrate that heinous act, it's most horrendous. And then you come and say the policeman did not work. No, the policeman did his work. He arrested the fellow. But then, for some reason, the justice system, or not all the screws are tight enough. Somehow this fellow gets released, then he goes to perpetrate the act that he intended to. Let's develop the law. Even if it means we have got to do comparisons and stop relying on literature from Washington and London. It's not helping us. It has not helped us. Today we have problems here. We live with problems because we have been relying on doctrines that are from Washington, that are from London, and we have sociologists and psychologists who like indoctrinating us with these doctrines that no, people, death penalty would not help you. There are a lot of social issues. These people are poor and what? Okay, so because you have poverty, then it's fine. You must kill people and take their belongings. We can't continue to accept those things. We have got to transition into an environment where we develop the law. It's unavoidable because the policeman himself is not sure if he's going to come back home safe. The policeman can be killed. If you look at how ill-disciplined like it is happening now, South Africans are. The policeman leaves home, he knows he can be shot at. And somebody will tell you the policeman must not retaliate because if you retaliate, it's police brutality. How safe are we going to be then as a society? How safe are our children and women going to be? Not to say it's only men who do it. Of course, we do have some women who perpetrate similar heinous acts. But generally we know men are at the forefront. Let's develop the law. It's high time. Legislators, those in parliament, we are talking to you. Let's develop the law. If you go to Singapore, you carry the drugs. I can tell you that you may be executed, and that country, their people are safe, and it's okay. Why should somebody come to us and say we're barbaric if we say no? Well, we're going to take the harshest of acts against perpetrators of these heinous crimes. Let's develop the law. Thank you very much. We've come to the end of the seminar. We'll continue to do more. You shall have a lovely day. The entourage that came here when everybody else was seated, we are going to request that you head back to our block where we were. And then the rest of the members of the community, we shall meet again when we do the follow-up seminar on a similar subject. Thank you very much. You shall have a good day.